everybody, we are officially in India.
My true feelings.
It was an ongoing
Oh, we'll give her 1 second like this.
India was not a very planned out trip on my end. My university sent an email to all students mentioning an opportunity to study there, which I liked the sound of, but the information session was on at the same time as my Pilates, so I deleted it. A definite Pilates class was more important than a most likely not possible India trip, after all. Plus, I hadn't missed a week the entire semester, so I wasn't going to miss one now. It wasn't until my cousin and weekly Pilates buddy convinced me to go. The information session made the trip sound amazing. We'd be living at OP Jindal Global University for 2 weeks, taking daily classes on Indian business, society and culture, and its position within the global sphere. There were also excursions to different businesses that allowed us to see what we were learning firsthand, and opportunities to indulge in some classic tourism. The catch, however, was that the turnaround was fast. We needed to express our interest within a couple days, apply for scholarships by the following Monday, and we only had time for one more meet-up and trip discussion. Still, my cousin and I talked about the possibility of India the whole way home. And then, just as 2025 rolled in, we were off. Our first taste of India was on the plane. Everything was spoken twice, once in Hindi and once in English. The safety video highlighted different parts of the country, and, more literally, we were served some delicious food. And then, after some attempts at productivity, but mostly naps, we were in India. Students and teachers met us at the airport, and I was immediately struck by their hospitality. It was a running theme in my trip. Everyone we met quickly became a friend, no matter if we saw them daily or every now and then at mealtimes. When we were out, they'd always stay close by, happily chatting or helping us bring down prices of things we wanted to buy. We didn't make it easy for them either. Late night questions or medical calls, jet lags and the occasional bad attitude, yet every person, staff and student alike, was beyond generous, helping whenever we needed and never complaining. I think we owe them the world because of that.
Good morning, we are officially in India. We arrived late last night after a long day of travel, but that's okay. We're here, we are somewhat rested and ready to start the day and see what's going to be going on. Got my lanyard and a bag and everything, so I'm very excited.
I didn't have many expectations of India. I knew it was hot and populated, and that I wanted to get henna on my trip. So, when I was immediately swallowed by cold air, first expectation lost, I realized just how much I was about to learn. And learn I did. In Delhi, the world held a constant buzz. There were cars, buildings, and people everywhere. I'm pretty sure people in Delhi never sleep, because night or day, everything was alive. At the university, a couple hours drive north in Sonipat, everything was different. We were there between semesters, so no one was on campus. Or, if people were, We were spread so far across the big area that it felt like we were completely alone sometimes. The haze probably helped with that. Every now and then I'd be walking alone, and then suddenly someone, dog or person, would materialise in front of me. The first morning was particularly exciting. We got to meet the rest of my home university's team, a small group of fun people that made the trip even more enjoyable, and I like to think we all hit it off pretty fast, becoming what felt like a little family that only grew with all the OP Jindal Global editions. The crazy experiences, long drives, and close run-ins with Delhi Belly ensured that connection, at least.
You can see how light that is tree.
Some people might think this trip wasn't experiencing the real India, which is probably true in some ways. I never had to navigate places alone or stay at a different place each night, but I felt so safe because of the constant care from the university, and I know that meant I could experience everything, the lessons and trips, in a deeper way. I was more open and receptive to experiencing the detailed parts of their culture they shared, because I wasn't in a constant state of trying to keep myself healthy or not lost, or, given the lack of road rules, just generally alive. And that's not to say that we weren't given an immersive trip. Every moment of every day was jam-packed with activities. We danced, did yoga, got henna, just as wished for. And through our classes and industry visits, we learnt a more personal side of India tourists can't as easily access. I honestly think I experienced more in my 2 weeks there than some might experiencing travelling alone for months.
Thank you.
Professor, thank you, Mohan, for the welcome remarks. Thank you all of you for being here with us.
We have met some incredible people here already, our buddies that have been taking care of us and all of the staff members as well. And even last night at the carnival, all the people who were serving us food and giving us the shows were so lovely and generous. And so it's been just a great atmosphere to be in. I think in India, the culture is so open and loving to their guests, and we've been fed non-stop. Everyone is trying to feed us every single hour of the day, which has been really fun, trying some really tasty dishes and very different dishes to what we normally have in Australia. But this morning we did flip the table around. One of our students had Vegemite, and so we got our volunteers to sit down, have good old-fashioned Vegemite on toast, and they loved it. So that was a very cool experience to be able to immerse them back into our own culture as well as be immersed in theirs.
One of my favourite things about the trip were our industry visits, in particular, our trip to the National Institute of Urban Affairs. It was a fancy and important place, but we were welcomed in to hear what they were doing to help decrease the poverty in India. There were initiatives focused on countless topics, such as increasing technology, clean water sources, and access to bathrooms. What I found so interesting was this range, as India had never been diverse in my mind. However, every day we were taught the complexity of culture, language, and religion, and now we were seeing that in action. We were told India was more like Europe in its diversity, with a few steps in any direction changing the world and people you knew completely. I think that takeaway has made us all crave to see more of India, to experience that shift and learn as many details as possible firsthand. After the National Institute of Urban Affairs, we visited the Australian High Commission. The first thing that struck me was the difference in culture. Perhaps it was the high level of formality, but even though we were still in India, we were no longer greeted by India's hospitality. Even at the National Institute of Urban Affairs, we were sitting collaboratively around a table and invited in to ask questions as equals. Whereas at the Australian High Commission, we were removed from the speakers and placed opposite them, in a position that felt to me like a reinforcement of the power imbalance. There was no food offered or even a chance for us to introduce ourselves, as our previous classes and industry trips had. Much like Australian culture, this visit had, "Hey, how are you?" as a polite greeting, rather than an invitation to connect. The trip was still engaging, with the discussion on India and India's relationship, specifically in the discipline of trade, and following opportunity for questions highly insightful. However, I can't help but contrast these two cultural experiences. It has made me question the innate hospitality I thought we Australians had, and, upon further reflection, made me realise there is so much we could learn from simple Indian hospitality in our day-to-day, even if it's just giving people a chance to introduce themselves.
Oh, it's not.
The final moment from our first week in India was a must-do. We not only saw the Taj Mahal, but we were lucky enough to go inside it. The trip was 6 hours in a bus, one way, but the long hours on the bumpy road was definitely worth it. The size of the building, the script on its sides, the carved stones embedded into the walls to make flower patterns. I was in awe the whole time. Even now, while I'm usually very good at talking for longer than I need, have come up at a loss for words to describe it. All I can say is if you think the outside is pretty, the inside is breathtaking.
Oh, I want to take more home.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Oh no!
You have a third eye.